Minister, I want to ask, when is Fine Gael going to be honest with farmers? The Taoiseach is out trying to score a few political points at the expense of your coalition partners, but in the process is misleading farmers and giving them false hope. On Friday, we saw the Taoiseach contradict the Agriculture Minister by going over his head and suggesting that the EU decision to reduce the nitrates derogation could be revisited. He was going to personally write to the Commissioner and invite him to Ireland for discussions on the issue. This was after Charlie McConalogue had repeatedly, publicly stated that this won't happen, that it cannot be done. Yesterday, IFA President Tim Cullinan told Morning Ireland the Minister needed to stop working against the Taoiseach and should instead support his Taoiseach. Minister, maybe you can clear this mess up today. I think at this point, the least that you owe farmers is honesty. You were, after all, the architect, as Agriculture Minister, of the policy of limitless expansion in the dairy sector that was pursued when you lifted the milk quotas. At the time you said, and I'll quote, "I will not allow a situation where the potential for growth and expansion in agri-food will be compromised by the setting of emissions limits." Your policy was not to consider environmental constraints, a policy of the sky's the limit. The inevitable consequences weren't a concern for you. And now we're feeling all of the repercussions of that incredible negligence. The country had 500 pristine rivers in the 1980s. Now we have just 32. We have a biodiversity crisis with 91% of protected habitats in poor or inadequate condition. More than 120 native plants and animal species have already gone extinct. Many small farms have become completely unviable. We all know that farmers don't get up in the morning motivated to pollute waters, to release as many emissions as possible. We all know that these results are a direct consequence of your government policies. They're not a collective decision ever made by farming communities. And now, in just a few months, farmers are expected to reduce their herds and their incomes just like that. We've known this was coming for some time, and yet there's been no preparation. I think perhaps worse than pursuing a policy that was destined to fail is continuing to pursue it when it has already failed. At the very least, at this point, farmers deserve honesty. At the best, they deserve a plan and stability.
Thank you, Deputy.
We know suggestions the Commission will revisit the derogation are a charade. Do you accept that, yes or no? And do you accept that now is not the time to pretend to fight the inevitable, to score political points, but it's time to redirect efforts, the Taoiseach's efforts, the government's efforts, the department's efforts, to helping families through these transitions? Thank you.
Minister.
First of all, Deputy, I think you're misrepresenting the decision to abolish dairy quotas when that was made as part of a common agricultural policy reform quite a number of years ago. I stand over that decision. It was the right decision at the time, and it's the right decision now. Many dairy farms in Ireland were operating in a straitjacket, unable to fulfil their potential in terms of their dairy herds. And the vast majority of dairy farmers that have grown productivity and production since then have done so in a sustainable manner. There are some who have grown too quickly, that's true. And of course, farmers themselves, and dairy farmers in particular, recognise that they have a unique responsibility in terms of protecting water quality and water courses. I would suggest maybe that you, if you haven't already, and maybe you have, take a look at the Misleading project in terms of water basin catchment area to see how it can be done, where water quality isn't disimproving and where dairy farms have grown and expanded to their potential. I believe in sustainability in the context of protecting the environment, ecosystems, water courses, but also financial sustainability for farm families across the country, all 130,000 of them. And the state needs to support them from a policy point of view and from a financial point of view when appropriate. And it is true that agriculture and farming and farm families have to respond to our environmental challenges as other sectors do as well. And they are setting about doing that. And you should recognise that in this House rather than constantly pointing at them as the problem. They are doing many things to actually reduce the impact of farming on the environment. Whether it's grassland management, whether it's increased clover, whether it's reducing chemical fertilisers. It is perhaps worth noting in this House that the amount of chemical fertiliser used in Ireland last year reduced by 15%. And again this year by another estimated 15%. That's in 2 years, a 30% reduction in chemical fertilisers. And of course, much more targeted application of pesticides and herbicides also. And we need to continue on that journey with farmers and work with them on it, rather than lecture them about the problems that they're causing. And then we may get a more positive response from the farming sector, even than has been given already. We've seen for the first year in many, a reduction in the emissions coming from the agricultural sector over the last 12 months, and now that is going to accelerate into the future. We have a Teagasc plan that we know can deliver 17 to 19% reduction in emissions from the agricultural sector between now and 2030, and we've set a target to get to 25%, and farmers are up for that, despite the fact that they know it's a big challenge. So perhaps, Deputy, maybe you can recognise what many of your constituents are already actually doing to protect the environment, rather than focusing on the problems solely. Watercourse protection is really important. Water quality is important.
Thank you,
Trends
Minister.
are moving in the wrong direction in certain areas, and farming and agriculture needs to respond to that. But they need to do it with the support of government, rather than the criticism.
Thank you very much. Deputy Kern.
Minister, I think your refusal to answer a straight question with a straight answer speaks volumes. But you did inadvertently answer it, and that was by saying that you will continue with the same head in the sand approach. And just one thing that I think is really important to kind of, even though I don't particularly want to use up my time replying to it, you saying that I'm pointing fingers at farmers when I explicitly said in my opening that no farmer went out with the intention of this, that it was a direct result of your policy, actually really is kind of reminiscent of what you said back when you started this policy, like I've quoted, that you won't be in a situation where you won't allow a situation where we compromise by emissions. You're the one who started, or certainly took part in starting, this false narrative that somehow the environment and farmers are working against each other, and that when I say we need to, make farming more sustainable, that I'm somehow pointing the finger at farmers, even though I clearly stated that it really wasn't farmers' fault, that it was a direct consequence of policies. We could be moving towards a situation where subsidies incentivise farmers to practice more sustainable types of farming, that it's not all about livestock units to the hectare. But you're not talking about solutions. You're talking about pursuing the same failed approach.
Time is up. Minister.
Deputy, with respect, subsidies already support farmers in terms of more environmentally sustainable practices. They already do that. That's what Pillar 2 is all about. That's what a big aspect of Pillar 1 payments is also about now, ensuring that we get an acceptable benchmark in terms of environmental protections. Deputy, what I'm not going to do is let you try and drive a wedge between Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil on this issue. We have, which is what, no, we met the leadership. Well, you don't want to hear the answer, That's the problem, which I think says an awful lot.
No.
We met.
Would you stop behaving like children and let's get on with the business,
I mean,
please?
If people want to laugh at the impact that changes in the nitrates derogation is having on farmers, good luck to you. The IFA leadership made an ask of the Taoiseach last Friday, which was a very reasonable ask. They said that before any decisions are made by the European Commission, that they would like to meet face-to-face in Ireland with the key decision maker on the nitrates derogation.
Thank you.
And the Taoiseach has said that he will facilitate that meeting, and he will, supported, I might say, by the Minister for Agriculture too,
Thank you.
who was part of that discussion.